This video was made possible by Good Better Best Tuition Services. Please subscribe to our channel for the latest updates. Today we are going to be doing our third lesson on the addition and subtraction of fractions. Now we know that it's easy to add fractions when the denominators are the same. If we say that we'd like to add a quarter plus a quarter, when we add fractions, the denominators don't change. So we can simply say 1 plus 1 is 2. However, we would be expected to simplify this fraction, and so we need to ask ourselves what divides into 2 that also divides into 4. So we would need to divide by 2 over 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. And this is how we simplify the fraction. Let's look at what happens when the denominators are not the same. Let's look at a half plus a third. Let's look at example 2. We want to add a half plus a third. However, we can see that the denominators are not the same. What do we need to do? We need to find the lowest common denominator, or LCD. How do we find this number? This number is the lowest common multiple of 2 and 3. So let's write down the first 5 multiples of 2 and 3. For 2, we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And for 3, we've got 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. Now, do you see any number that is common to both sets of multiples? You should see that 6 is the lowest common one. Now, this is going to form our lowest common denominator. I now need to convert a half to a number over 6, and I need to convert a third into a number over 6. What is this? This is equivalent fractions, which we've dealt with in our first lesson. So what did I do to 2 to get 6? I multiplied by 3. And so what I do to the denominator, I must also do to the numerator. And that will give me 3 over 6. And then with a third, what did I do to 3 to get 6? I multiplied by 2. And what I do to the denominator, I must also do to the numerator. And that will give me 2 over 6. Now I can go ahead and add the two fractions. And I can say that 3 over 6 plus 2 over 6 is equal to 5 over 6. Let's do another example. Now let's have a look at this example. We have 7 over 8 minus 2 over 3. What do we need to do? We need to find our lowest common denominator. How do we do that? We do that by finding the multiples of 3 and the multiples of 8. So let's do the first 5 multiples again and see what we come up with. The multiples of the first 5 multiples of 3, it's 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. The multiples of 8, the first 5, it's 8, 16, 24, 32, and 40. So let's have a look at this. Is there anything in common? There's nothing in common. So what do? Let's extend the multiples of 3. So let's write down the next 5. 18, 21, 24, 27, and 30. Let's see if we can find something that's common. What's the common denominator? 24. So the lowest common denominator is 24. What do we need to do now? We need to convert each fraction into a number over 24. And how do we do that? So the question we ask ourselves is, what did we multiply 8 by to get 24? And we multiplied by 3. So we need to multiply 7 by 3 as well, because the rule is what we do to the denominator, we must also do to the numerator. So that will give us 21 over 24. And for 2 over 3, what did we do? We multiplied by 8. And so we need to multiply 2 as well. And that will give us 16 over 24. So now we can add 21 over 24 plus 16 over 24. What will that give us? This will give us 37 over 24. Now, if they had to ask you to write your answer as a mixed number, how would you do that? We covered this in the previous section. What we do is we say 24 divides into 37 how many times? Once. So 1 times 24 is 24. What are we left with? We are left with 37 minus 24. And what is 37 minus 24? It is 13 over 24. That's correct. Let's do the next example. Now we have 3 and 1 over 7 minus 2 and 3 over 14. What's our first step? Our first step is to find our LCD. What do you think the LCD of 7 and 14 will be? That's fairly easy, isn't it? The LCD of 7 and 14 will be 14. Why would that be? Because both 7 and 14 divide into 14. So what do we need to do? We need to convert 3 and 1 over 7 and 2 and 3 over 14 to an improper fraction. So 3 times 7 is 21, and 21 plus 1 is 22. So 3 over 7 is the same thing as 22 over 7. And then 2 times 14 is 28, and 28 plus 3 is 31. So now that we've converted it to an improper fraction, we need to convert it to equivalent fractions. So let's do that. So we've agreed that our LCD is 14. What did we do to 7 to get 14? We multiplied by 2. And therefore we must multiply 22 by 2 as well. And that will give us 44. Will that number change? No, it won't change, because it already has a denominator of 14. So now we can go ahead and say that 44 over 14 minus 31 over 14 is equal to 13 over 14. And that's your final answer. Let's do one more example, but this one's going to be a little bit more challenging. Let's have a look. So our final example has 3 terms in it. And what's our first step? Our first step says that we must find our LCD. Well, let's find the LCD of 2, 4, and 7. So here you can see that I've written down the multiples of 2, 4, and 7. With 2, I've had to continue past the first 5 because I didn't see anything that was common. Same thing with 4, although I can see that 2 and 7 have 14 in common. In this line, we don't have 14, so we can't use 14 as an option. However, when I continue with the multiples of 2, I see 28, I see 28 there, and I see 28 there, which means that our LCD is 28. Okay, so let's convert to an improper fraction. What do we do with a half? We don't need to convert it because it is already in proper fraction form. We need to convert 5 and 2 over 7 into an improper fraction. So 5 times 7 is 35, and 35 plus 2 is 37. So that will give us 37 over 7. And then we need to convert 2 and 3 over 4 into 11 over 4. How did we get that? We said 2 times 4 is 8, and 8 plus 3 is 11. So that's 11 over 4. So what will that give us? It will give us a half plus 37 over 4 minus 11 over 4. Why did we do this? We did this because when we convert to equivalent fractions now, it's easier when the fractions are in improper form. So we need to convert a half, 37 over 7, and 11 over 3 to equivalent fractions now. So can we do that? So let's do that conversion. A half into a number over 28. What did we multiply 2 by to get 28? We multiplied by 14. And so you know what we do to the bottom, we must do to the top. And so that will give us 14 over 28. And then 37 over 7. What did we do to 7 to get 28? We multiplied by 4. And therefore, we must multiply 37 by 4 as well. So that will give me 148. And what did I do to 4? I multiplied by 7. And therefore, I must multiply 11 by 7 as well. That will give me 77. So that will give us 14 over 28 plus 148 over 28 minus 77 over 28, which will give us 85 over 28. Now let's simplify that by writing it as a mixed number. 28 divides into 85 3 times, and we are left with 1 over 28. Now you might find it easier to swap step 1 and step 2 around, where we first convert to an improper fraction and then we find the LCD. That's absolutely fine too. Thank you for watching with us, and please subscribe to this channel for regular updates. We hope to see you again soon.